Today's liturgy lesson is about the veneration of the altar. The altar and the pulpit, which is sometimes called the ambo, are meant to be the two architectural focal points of a Catholic church. The design for worship space balances the altar and the pulpit. Now that we've used those two new words, altar and pulpit, let's describe them. First, the pulpit. This is the stand from which the scripture readings are proclaimed. It is also used to present our petitions. More about both of these parts of the Mass in another liturgy lesson. There may be other stands used at church, such as the one used by the cantor, the person who is leading us in song. A word about the altar. Historically, the altar has had a central place in any religion which had sacrifice as a principal practice. Also, in religions where a meal was very important, such as the Jewish faith, the table was considered sacred. By the 4th century, our altar was called the table of the Lord. The Catholic altar is a symbol of both actions. It is the place for the reenactment of the sacrifice of Calvary, and it is the table from which we receive the bread and wine of life. With all of that history and meaning, our priest and deacon enter the sanctuary and bow and kiss the altar as a sign of reverence. The priest may also incense the altar as the holy place of sacrifice from which our offerings rise to God. Some of us will remember that Catholic altars also contained relics of the martyrs, pieces of bone or cloth associated with a saint who had died for the faith. That practice started centuries ago, probably because during times of persecution, Mass was celebrated in the catacombs, and a tomb was used as the altar. It is no longer required that an altar contain a relic, and ours at Our Lady of Lourdes does not. Why is a relic no longer required? Probably for two reasons. At the time of the Vatican Council, there was great concern that relics be authentic, and many simply were not. But more importantly, the Church did not want to take away from the central meaning of the altar itself, which is our place of sacrifice and our table of the Lord. Our next liturgy lesson will be the sign of the cross and the greeting.